Hello everybody. A warm welcome to all of you to my second session on classes and objects. Guys, in today's session, I will be discussing the concepts called member functions. Before starting the session, I would like to ask all of you, please go back and check my first session on classes and objects because it is very important. If you have not gone through that first session, you will not understand the second session. So for that reason, guys, I will give you a quick recap on the last topics, whatever I have discussed in the first session. Moving on. In this recap, let us understand two concepts: how to declare and define the classes and objects, and what is access specifier. That is what I have discussed in detail in the previous session. Let us understand how do I declare and define the class first. My dear students, if I want to declare a class, remember I have to use the keyword called class. So I have to start with the keyword called class. Once you're done with the keyword called class, you have to write the name for the class. So here I will be writing the name for the class. Sir and madam, remember this name, I will be calling it as a identifier. So whenever you are giving a name for the class, you have to follow the rules of identifier. So that is what you need to remember with this particular point. The second one that you need to remember is I should start with opening the flower bracket, then followed by I will be writing the access specifier, that is public. I'll be writing the access specifier, that is public. After public, remember I have to write the colon. Then inside this public access specifier, I will be writing the data member. I'll be writing what? Data member. And then I will be writing the member function. I'll be writing the member function. So guys, can you tell me how many different types of access specifier that I have? So yes, you are exactly right. We have three types of access specifier. Number one is public. Number two, I have private, and I have protected. So that is what I will be writing: private and then protected. Guys, in this access specifiers also I will be having data member and member function. It depends on my program, however I am writing. So once I am done writing all these things, so guys, I will be closing the class with a flower bracket, and this flower bracket ends with a semicolon. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this semicolon is what it says, that is the end of the class. That is what you need to remember. I will repeat. So remember, you should start with the keyword called class. And all the class will have a unique name. Sir, why should I give the name for the class? Because you need to identify the class uniquely. You will have a lot of classes. So in that lot of classes, you need to identify that particular class uniquely. For that, you need to give the name for the class. Whenever you are giving the name for the class, what is that you should remember? Tell me. You need to follow the rules of identifiers. We have already discussed the rules of identifier. Please go back and check in the previous video. And then after that, you will start with the flower bracket. And then inside this class, how many access specifier you can have? You can have three different types of access specifier. Sir, is it mandatory that I should have all the access specifier? No. So it depends on your program. So you need to understand the meaning of this access specifier in the previous class. So public in the sense what, private in the sense what, protected in the sense what. You just have to go back to the previous session, previous video, and please understand that. So after giving this access specifier, so you can specify the data member and member functions. So this is the basic structure of a class. This is what you need to remember before moving into the next topic. My dear students, let me start the topic for the day, that is members of a class. What is members of a class? Very recently in the previous slide, I have discussed members of a class in the sense you have two things. Number one, the first one is data, and the second one is functions. That is what I will call it as a member functions and data member. So what is this data member and member functions? Can you just explain in detail? Yes, whatever the variables that I have, for example, you will be writing int a. So can you tell me what is data member here? Yes, of course, a is your data member. A is your data member. Can you tell me what is member functions? A set of statements which performs one task is what we call it as a member functions. So sir, we don't know much about this member function. Of course we know about this variable. So we used to write int a comma b comma c, whatever the variables that we want, float a comma b comma c. All those things we know, but we don't know much about this member functions. Yes, to answer this doubt, I am here for you in this session, my dear students. What is member functions? How many types of member functions that we have is what I'm going to discuss in today's session. My dear students, stay tuned. If you're not listening to me, please listen to me. Take a notepad and write down the points, whatever I'm explaining it to you. So let's start. So how do I declare the member function? What is the syntax to declare the member function? What is the use of member function? What is the types of, how many types of member functions that I have is what I'm going to discuss in today's session, my dear students. Let's start. How do we write the member function first of all? So let's understand the syntax to write the member function first of all. Let's start. So first thing that you have to write is return type. So what is that you will write? The first thing that you have to write is return type. The second one, after the return type, what is that you need to write? You should write the name of the function. You should write the name of the function. So name of the function, I'll just write it as nf. Then followed by, you have to write the parenthesis. Then followed by, you have to write the parenthesis. So remember, first thing you will write the return type. The second one, followed by the return type, you will write the name of the function. Sir, is that enough if I write? No, you have one more thing. Sir, in this parenthesis, inside this parenthesis, you will write the parameters list. You will write the parameters list. If I have to pass any of the parameters, I will be writing inside this parenthesis. I will show you with the example what is this parameters list. As of now, you need to remember only two things. The first one is return type. The second one is name of the function. Then after that, I will be writing the open flower bracket. Then I will close the flower bracket. So what is that I have to write inside? Whatever you want. What is the task that you need to perform? For that, you need to write the statements. For that, you need to write the group of statements. So this is the syntax, this is the structure of any member functions. My dear students, you need to remember. Let me give you a recap on defining or declaring the member functions. My dear students, what is the first thing that you will write? You will write the return type. The second one is the name of the function. I have already discussed with all of you name of the function in the sense you need to identify the function particularly. That is why you will give the name of the function. Whenever you have to give the name for that particular function, you will have to follow the rules of identifier. That is what you need to keep in your mind. Whenever you are giving the name for anything in your programming language, make sure that you will follow the rules of identifier. That is one thing. Then after that, you will have the parameters, then followed by opening flower bracket and closing flower bracket. Remember, you will not end the statement with the semicolon. Okay, you're not using the semicolon here. Okay, so this is wrong. You should not use a semicolon in here. So that I will discuss why are we not giving the semicolon here in the coming sessions. So this is the basic knowledge that you should have with respect to the member function. Let me take an example. Let me take a program to explain the concept of member functions. Okay, so let's start. I think all of you are able to see the program. Here I'm starting the program with the header files. All of you are aware about this header files. Let me not waste your time by discussing the same thing. So the first header file that I have taken is #include iostream.h #include conio.h. So that is what the header files that I have taken. So what is the use of header files? All my predefined functions are stored in this header files. So whenever I want to write all this lines of code, okay, so I will be taking the codes, some of the codes I will be taking it from the library. So I will not be defining everything in my program. So some of the things I have already predefined, I'll be taking that from the library. That's why I'm using the header file. I have discussed that in the beginning classes. Let me not waste much of the time here. Then followed by, I have already told you guys, how do I declare the class? So I have to start with the keyword called class. That is what I have written. Okay, followed by that, so what is this? What do you call this? Test. So the test, whatever I have, so this is what I will call it as a name of the class. This is what I will call it as a class name. So guys, what is the name of the class that I have? I have the class name as test. So what is the keyword that I have used? I have used the keyword as class. Then after that, I have told you, so I am using the flower bracket. So opening flower bracket, then can you just identify what is the access specifier that I have? I have the private access specifier. I have the private access specifier. Remember, after the private access specifier, I am using the colon. That is the syntax that you need to follow. So access specifier is private. After that, I am using the colon. So can you tell me how many variables that I have inside this class which comes under the private access specifier? Very good. I have two variables, that is a comma b. That is a comma b. Can you tell me one more answer? So what do I call this a comma b as? Very good. So this a comma b, I am treating it as a data members. I am treating it as what? Data members, my dear students. So a comma b is of type int. What is that? What is the data type of this a comma b? A comma b is of type integer. So you understood that we have two variables. That two variables is of type integer. So you don't have any doubt with respect to this. Moving on to the next line, I have one more access specifier that I have declared. So I have public. So what is that I have next? I have public. My dear students, again for public also I am giving the colon. So after that, remember this void is what I will call it as a return type. Remember here I have told you the syntax. So what is the meaning of this void? Void is a return type. Sir, what is return type? How many return types then we have? My dear students, we have mainly two return types we are using. The first one is int. The second one is void. So what is the meaning of int and what is the meaning of void? Don't get confused this int with the data type. So I'm not speaking about the data type right now. I'm speaking about the return type right now. In return type, we have two types of return types. The first one is int. The first one is what? Int. Int in the sense it returns some value. Int in the sense what? It returns some value. Void in the sense it does not return any value. It does not return any value. As of now, please remember only two return types. How many return types we have? We have int and we have void. So void in the sense it does not return any value. All the computations will happen there itself and it will only give you the result. But int in the sense you will take out some value from that particular function. That is what you need to remember, my dear students. For example, let's take an example like this. I will go to the hotel. I will not take any parcel. I'll get the food, right? I will have the food in that hotel itself. Suppose if I have the food in the particular hotel, then I'm coming out after having the food, then that is what I will call it as a void, because I'm not carrying any food outside. Suppose in the second scenario, if I take the food as a parcel and if I come out of the hotel, I have the parcel with me. I have some food in my hand. So that is what I will call it as a int. I am taking some value out of the function. So what is function here? Hotel is a function here. What is that hotel is giving? Hotel is giving you the food. So what is the food here in my program? That food is a value. So that is what you need to understand. So coming back to the concept, so we have two types of return type. One is void, another one is int. Int in the sense it returns the value. void in the sense it does not return the value. So in my function, I have taken the return type as void. Then after that, I have told you, so what is the next one that I have? Name of the function. So can you tell me the name of the function, what is that I have? So I have get num as the name of the function. I have get num as a name of the function. Remember, all the statements has got the semicolon, but here I am not using the semicolon. What is the meaning of it, sir? Suppose if you don't use the semicolon, it means to understand. You need to understand that you have a block of code followed by that. So you have to use the open flower bracket. So inside that flower bracket, I have given two statements. What is the statement that I have given? Cout. I am using cout. What is the meaning of cout? You already know about it. Cout in the sense, whatever you give within the double quotes, you will print that particular statement. So what is that I'm trying to print now? So I'm trying to print enter the number for additions. Enter the number for additions. So I'm asking the user to enter the number for addition. That is what I'm printing in the screen. So once it displayed on the screen, the user will understand that they need to enter the values. Okay, so if they enter two values, the first value will be stored in the variable called A and the second value will be stored in the variable called B. So for that, to store the values in A and B, so what is the concept, what is the keyword that I'm using? I'm using cin. Cin will help me to store the value, to read the value from the user. Remember, I'm discussing two new concepts here, cout and cin. Cin in the sense I will print the values or I will print whatever you give within the double quotes. Cin in the sense I will read the values. I will repeat. Cout in the sense I will print the values. Cin in the sense I will read the values from the user. That is what you need to understand here. So I'm closing this flower bracket. What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of it? My dear students, so this two lines, whatever I have written, this belongs to get num function. What is the meaning of it? What did you understand by this? My dear students, get num is a function that I am defining to read the values from the user. Apart from that, it is not doing anything else. Apart from that, it is not doing anything else. That is what you need to understand in this particular point of time. After that, I have defined one more function. That is what you need to observe. So what is the return type of this function? Again, you know that I am using the void. Void in the sense it does not return anything again. So what is the name of the function? Show data is the name of the function. What is that I am doing inside this? I am trying to perform the addition, that is A plus B. Sir, you did not explain why are you taking this A comma B inside private. Yes, my dear students, if I declare anything inside the private, I will be able to access this variables or this data members only within this class, not outside this class. That is what the meaning of private A comma B. That is what you need to understand. So here I am performing A plus B. I can also write here C is equal to A plus B. Instead of that, so what is that I'm doing? Instead of that, what is that I'm doing? I'm just giving here itself in the cout. So A plus B, it will give me the addition of two numbers. So fine, this function is calculating the addition of two numbers. After that, I'm just closing this function. Then after that, you need to observe this. You need to observe this. What is that? I'm just marking here. I'm marking closing flower bracket with the semicolon. What is the meaning of it? That is the end of the class. What is the meaning of it? That is the end of the class. So fine, you have declared, you have defined the class. Can you tell me from where exactly the execution of the program starts? Yes, my dear students, always remember that in your mind. My execution of the program starts from the main function. The execution of the program starts from the main function. My dear students, my execution of the program starts from the main function. Even if I have written 100 lines above this main function, all these lines will not be executed first. Remember, always the execution of the program starts from the main function. So let us understand what is that I have written in the main function. So yes, I have written some 5 lines inside this main function. What is that I have written? I have written some 5 lines inside this main function. What is this? CLR SCR. What is that I have written? CLR SCR. CLR SCR, in the sense it is a function call, I'm calling here. So it will clear the screen of previous output. Whatever I have executed the programs in the, all those output will be cleared in my screen. It is very simple. Imagine I have the class in the second hour. So in the first hour, lecturer would have written a lot of things on the board. So before I enter inside this class, the people will clean the board for me. So that is what I will call it as a clear screen. So this clear screen is helping me to clear the output of the previous program. So that is what I'm calling here. That is what the function that I'm calling here. The second one is test T1. That is what I'm writing here. Able to see this? Test T1. So guys, you need to look here. Test T1. Sir, what is this test T1? What is this test T1? Can you tell me? My dear students, look this. Look at this, everybody. Test, in the sense the name of the class. Test in the sense what? The name of the class. So T1 in the sense what? What is this T1 that I have written? Sir, test is a data type for me now. Test is a data type for me now. What type of data type? Test is a user defined data type for me now. T1 is what? I'm creating the object for that data type. For example, I can call it as a variable. To make you understand, listen here. So if I write int a, so int is what? Int is data type. A is what? A is variable. What is that? Int is data type, a is variable. In the same way, guys, I'm just writing test. Test is what? Test is data type. T1 is what? T1 is variable. But when I'm using a concept of classes and objects, I will not call this as a variable. Instead, I will call it as a object. Remember, I'm creating a data type for myself. The name of the data type is test. So for that, I have to create the variables, right? If I want to use it, yes. So for that, I'm using a test T1. T1 in the sense what? Variable of type test. Object of type test. Very good. The next, what is that I have in the next line? T1.getNum. T1.getNum. So what is the meaning of it? T1 in the sense object T1. GetNum in the sense what? You need to observe here. I'm using the semicolon. I'm just writing like this. T1.getNum. So what is this getNum? Can you just tell me getNum? Very good. GetNum. Let's go back and check. GetNum in the sense I have this function. GetNum in the sense I have the function which reads the value from the user. So what will happen now? So the execution of the program happens like this. First it will clear the screen, then it will create the object. Then what happens? The next set of statements will be executed is what? To read the values from the user. This function will be called. Then once you read the inputs from the user, then after that, sir, this function will be called. What is this function? T1.showData. Show data in the sense what? The addition will be performed for the values whatever you have read. So that is what we call it as a T1.showData. Am I being clear? So T1.showData in the sense this function will perform the addition and it will be printed on the screen. After that, I'm just using the getCH. So it will help me to see the screen. This is how the simple program to demonstrate the classes and objects, my dear students. So please read, please understand, please watch this video again and again. This is very important to understand the concept of classes and object, and also you will understand or you will get a fair idea about the data members and member functions. Before I start discussing the types of member function, make sure that you have a fair enough idea about what exactly the data member is and what exactly the member function is. You need to understand this very carefully. If you liked it, if you understood it, please like and please share this video. Thank you very much.